All right, welcome to Artcasters, episode I think 295, which is crazy, and it's getting us closer to 300, in which this will just completely turn into like a weird Frank Miller comic, where we'll all
I'm not taking my shirt off. Okay.
I've actually got a 6-pack right now in preparation for that. So
yeah, exactly.
I have a 6-pack of Coca-Cola. Actually.
Maybe that's what we should do, is just have like 6-packs of
just
beer.
Tape 6-packs of.
By the way, can we let the audience know that each one of us has something physically wrong with them today, or their connection? So this will be the best show ever, I think.
Yeah, we're starting a tiny bit later than usual because, we had tons of technical difficulties.
Josh was crying, and he had
I was crying. Yeah,
so
as usual. And then I was making a comic about crying, because that's what I
do. Please put that in a bio somewhere. I make comics about crying.
Crying, yeah.
That's true. All right, so we have a pretty good show tonight. I'm pretty excited. Let's kind of go around and do the go-arounds before we get into our awesome topic that has a lot to do with a newly released animation. So maybe before we even jump into the topic, we can show the trailer after we do introductions and stuff. How's that sound, guys? Good?
Like a plan.
All right, cool. I also like the positioning here, because now if I like move my pencil, it looks like I'm hitting Jim on the head. Anyhow,
I feel like I'm being crushed under the weight of the Artcasters banner.
It's true. You're
just holding it up.
Yeah, for sure.
You've always
don't shrug. Don't shrug,
Thanks,
Cory.
Thanks, Scott.
You've always carried this show, Cory.
I'm actually physically incapable of shrugging at the moment, so you're good.
You're the perfect Atlas right now. All right, so
that's like an Atlas Shrugged reference I heard today. I was listening to some Lonely Island CD, and they had some rhyme about more shrugs than Atlas or something like that.
Nice. My favorite is from Run the Jewels, where it says, "I've got a Vonnegut punch for your Atlas shrugged." Pretty good. All right, so let's make the rounds. You're on my channel, so you guys know where to find me, and if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit that bell so you get notifications when I'm about to go live. I will say I'm going to be doing a lot more live streams coming up, because I finally finished most of a top secret project, at least until November. And so I don't know.
The one about the UFOs?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
The UFO
I won't mention it. I won't say anything.
Yeah, it's roughly about tears coming from aliens sitting in a UFO, because I only write comics.
And since you only do auto bio, this is news to me that you were abducted by aliens. But
yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know if I told you, Scott, but there was a point in time where I did try to visit you in Arizona. That's why I never showed up. So anyhow, so if you guys haven't yet, hit that bell so you get notifications when this is about to go live. And I'm really excited to make the rounds and introduce everybody. So Cory, where can everybody find your work? While you're still here, Cory may dip out at some point. For anyone who's not aware, he was in a motorcycle accident, and so Cory is being a trooper showing up here. But if he disappears,
I'll just replace my image with an X-ray of my ribs.
That's a good idea.
I had ribs yesterday.
Yeah. I had ribs a couple weeks ago. I don't anymore.
Yeah,
not all of them.
You can find me at corykerr.com, and I was lucky enough to finish all my major projects I was working on before I broke 7 ribs and had to go into surgery to have my collarbone put back together. So if you want to watch those, they're available, even though I can't make anything anymore right now.
So. That's cool. Any news on the awards front too? Because you were kind of racking up a ton of awards for.
I've won quite a few. Offhand, I don't know how many, but I can look that up.
Just casually, just kind of forgot to mention.
I still have about a 75% acceptance rate on that. So.
Nice.
Well, you have 100% acceptance rate here.
Thank you, Jim.
This is a safe space. I don't want to trigger you.
Yeah. No, it's so far the ratio is doing better than Put Your Heart Into It did. So, and that did pretty well. That had about a 25% acceptance rate. So,
yeah, honestly, for anyone unfamiliar with like the whole submission process and stuff, that's an insanely good acceptance rate. Yeah.
It means cool. I can pick the right festivals. That's what it means.
And that's injured.
That is injured. Yeah, that's like
wait till next season.
That's true. Wait till he's at full strength. Cory's gonna be like at Sundance. All right, so yeah, definitely check out Cory's animations. Really cool. You can learn a lot about the process of animation, and animation's gonna have a ton to do with what we're gonna talk about today. But before we get to our special guest, who's a recurring guest, who's practically another Artcaster as well, let's introduce my co-host, Scott. Where can everybody find your work, find out more about comics?
You can find my stuff at Serkworks.com. You can also find me at Serkworks on YouTube and my YouTube channel, where I have a series called Making Comics 101. It is a step-by-step process of how to make a comic, everything from coming up with your idea all the way to printing, publishing, and all those steps in between. So if you want to learn how to make comics, that's probably, I'm going to say it, it's the best place on the internet to learn how to do it. It's definitely the most what's the word I'm searching for?
Comprehensive.
Comprehensive. That's exactly the word I was looking for. Yes.
It's the bestest comprehensive.
Yes.
And
there's no guarantee that I might not bow out before the end of the show either, because I'm not feeling 100%. But I want to be here because anytime Jim's on the show, I know it's going to be funny, and it's my stomach that's hurting. So don't make me laugh too hard, Jim.
I love this. So we have an upset stomach and broken ribs. This is great for comedy.
It's a good start.
The Belly Buster show.
Yeah. So we can watch people laugh and then cry, and then I'll have to make a comic about it while they're doing it.
I seriously feel like an alien's going to pop out of my stomach.
Oh
no. Back to the UFOs stuff.
Okay, you guys, that is a teaser, and that's why you should stick around and watch the rest of this show, because who knows? Will an alien pop out of Scott Serkland's stomach? Could happen at any time. All right, so Jim Lujan is our special guest tonight. He has just released a brand new animation, and we're really, really super excited about it. So Jim, why don't you let everybody know where everybody can find you, and then maybe introduce our trailer clip.
Oh, okay. Thank you for having me, you guys. The Artcasters gets a special shout out at the end credits of Pleasure.
I saw that.
I noticed that.
I pointed that out to my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, look.
And Cirque 22 is in the film.
I didn't see that reference in this.
It's there a couple times.
Okay, I got to watch it again.
Yeah.
I also noticed No Saboteurs made a little thing on there too.
Yeah. So, and Cory's rib, one of his ribs is in the back. But okay, so my film. Thank you guys for having me. My new film is called Pleasure Beast. Listening for Josh's wife laughing, and it's a 28-minute romp about a housewife whose life gets turned upside down when a figure from her past shows back up in her life, and she's about it's about keeping secrets, and it's hand-drawn, handmade. Hopefully I could hand it over to you to watch on YouTube. And I had a great time making it. Towards the end, I'm like, why am I doing such long films still? Why do I do this to myself? But even at the end, it was so much fun that it was kind of bittersweet to end it. And it's got lots of really cool people in it, including conflict of interest, Josh, Pastor Kyle Kemble, who plays the cool pastor who's ripped and says things like, one of the best lines in the film, he says, "Tight latte, Carl." So I like that line. He did great. So thank you, Josh. And so you guys will be able to see it on YouTube. If you're watching this in the future, this is the past, but it's on YouTube. You can check it out. And right in the trailer, I guess we're going to see
when is the
trailer for it. This is the world premiere of the trailer. This is why we're all here, everybody. So
we're doing the trailer right now.
let's do it. Let's roll the trailer.
Let's go like that.
Mom, I saw this really cool dress at Hot Miss for Bridge Harvest.
Hot Miss? Do you know what kind of girls shop at Hot Miss?
You guys are not taking Bridge Harvest seriously enough.
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I am a man of wealth and taste. My name is Lee Diablo. I hereby offer my estate, Vesuvius, for your wonderful Bridge Harvest.
Stay away from Bridge Harvest, Kathy. You and your family.
Peter, I have a secret.
Help! There's a crazy person on the loose! Oh, time to unleash the freak. Now can you feel my feet? Gonna be your pleasure beat. Gonna be your pleasure beat. Try to control me, boy, then you don't know me. Gonna be your pleasure beat. Gonna be your pleasure beat. Oh, time to unleash the freak. Now can you feel my feet? Gonna be your pleasure beat. Gonna be your pleasure beat. Oh, time to unleash the freak. Now can you feel my feet?
The pleasure, Kathy. Surely you remember the pleasure.
Stay away from me and my family.
Oh, time to unleash the freak. Oh, time to unleash the freak.
The dog approves.
I absolutely love it.
We need a reaction in Pastor Kyle's voice. What does Pastor Kyle have to say about that trailer?
He'd say it's super dope.
That trailer was super dope. and if we did this in the way we recorded it, it would be basically me parroting Jim's intonations and inflections because I'm not a voice actor, but it came out so good, man. And I really encourage everybody to check it out. It's like it's a really good teaser because it doesn't show you everything, but there's so much to it. My favorite characters like Brother Gilbert, and you guys should go see why. It's just amazing.
I'm encouraged. Everybody has a different favorite character in there. I've had a couple of people have told me Brother Gilbert. A couple of people have told me Pastor Kyle.
All right.
Yeah. So and it's just, and then Charlie Rossman and Lisa Copenhaver are the two leads, and they nailed it. So I feel very fortunate and very lucky to be working with. I made it a conscious decision years ago to use my friends as voice talent and use other people besides doing all the voices myself. And it's like the best thing ever. I've been so happy with that. It just gave me a shot in the arm.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Oh, dude. Well, like Charlie, too, like his subtlety is so good. You know, it's excellent.
I always say Charlie's a real deal. He's an actual real actor. He's been in Superbad. He's been on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's been on lots of things. In fact, to me, his most impressive credit is Charlie plays an EMT worker running into Axl Rose's home in the video for Estranged. So Guns N' Roses, Estranged. Charlie's running in looking for Axl, who's hiding up in the rafters. That crazy Axl. And now I have him.
I just can't believe, like, watching this too, just the amount of like work you put into these animations. It's crazy. Like the soundtrack, as usual, is just incredible.
Thank you.
You guys got like a snippet of the Pleasure Beast theme song, which is amazing. And again, when that kicked in, like I was watching the video first on my own, like before my wife watched it with me, and she overheard it and just started laughing. Like it's just so good. Like the second the credits kicked on, she was like, "What is this?" I'm like,
I know. I forget. I tend to forget how weird I am with stuff. I mean, like I'm so around it so much that it becomes normal. But we recorded that song "Pleasure Beast" like 3 years ago, Lisa and I. And then I knew it was going to be the lead of a song, but Jeremy, you should unleash the freak. We got to make T-shirts that say that.
Okay, you've got a couple questions from the audience here.
Oh, bring them on.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can't see the chat.
Gary's asking, I have a question for the filmmaker. Is Lee just sort of an anagram of L?
Of L DeBarge?
Because you've got Lee Diablo instead of El Diablo.
Oh, okay.
Oh. No. Next question. No, I'm kidding. No, I never thought of that, but I'll tell you a little later off the air. So a couple of people that watched it asked me some great questions, and they have theories on it. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I meant. Yes. How did you figured it out? But the theories are so good that I'm like, oh, that's how that happens.
Can people listen to that music on? I know a lot of your music is on Spotify. Is that on Spotify as well?
The Pleasure Beast theme, you can hear it on YouTube, and I think it's under Jim Lujan Music. Pleasure Beast. It's been on there for a while, and Spotify. It's on there, and I'm going to put the soundtrack in the next couple of weeks. Will be out on Spotify.
Okay, yeah, because I want Keeping Secrets too. So like,
while
I'm driving to work, I can just put that on.
I don't know. Keeping Secrets might be on YouTube already. I did like a sneak preview of that a few weeks back. But so a couple of things I want to say about the music, about Keeping Secrets.
Music.
Well, yeah. So Keeping Secrets, and there's a punk song in the middle called Destroy, Destroy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those songs, my friend Nisam, who does a lot of my lead vocals on songs, we did that during the height of COVID, like the heart of COVID. So I had Nisam, I said, Nisam, do me a favor. I need you to just send me on the phone, send me you going, Keeping Secret. And he did it. And then I just manipulated, I sampled it and then just, and then the same thing with Destroy, Destroy. I said, I didn't even give him lyrics. I said, Nisam, the song goes like this. Da, 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 destroy, destroy, blah, 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 destroy. He goes, yeah, like a Johnny Rotten. I go, yeah, like that. And he just sent me all the lyrics. He sent me those back. It's just an audio track. And then I put the music to it. So we weren't even in the same room or, I totally ripped him off. So it's been great.
That leads me to my question. So when you hear like a snippet of a song, do you do a whole song for that then? Is there more like, because you said it, there's just basically the Keeping Secrets. Are there verses and everything to that song, or
that particular one is just him sampled Keeping Secrets.
Okay.
And then the song's like 2 minutes long. It's pretty short. But Pleasure Beast is an actual song. There's verses and chorus and stuff. And then Destroy is an actual song. Long, so usually if you hear a snippet of music, it's usually a full song. I'm pretty prolific when it comes to that stuff. And I realized again with this film that the songs guide me almost more than anything. Like the music, it's harder for me to do a film and then write music for the film than it is to just dabble in music and go, oh, that would work really good with, and this film, I did both because I had about half the music done before I started the film. And then I did the rest. I had to write music for certain scenes. Like your scene, Josh, there's a scene with Pastor Kyle where he's going, you guys are not taking Bridge Harvest seriously enough. I had to write a piece of music for that. And it was it's harder than the other way around. But it came out, that part came out pretty good.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really unique and cool about your animations too is the editing. It's it's very slickly paced, and I feel like there's like a patience to the way that you pace it out, and you're kind of like drawing creating this thread that eventually ties at the end. But it's but I love the way that you do that, and I do feel like the editing with the timing of the edits, like even the driving sequences in this feel like kind of like chapter breaks. It's just so cool, but it totally goes, it does feel very informed by the music, where it's like the music really creates this like atmosphere and like a strange tension that like, I love that too, watching it. Like it felt a little like a bit like an episode of Twin Peaks for a little bit there, where just this very strange tension throughout the beginning.
So I'll tell you, speaking of Spotify, on Spotify I created a playlist. It's public, so people can go check it out. I call it Murder Music, and it's not. No, I don't use it to murder people, but not yet. But that's my.
You're building up to that.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's all Italian, mostly Italian, some French, music from the late 60s, early 70s, from like horror movies, and I think probably soft porn. It's because like the songs will have titles like Amelia, and it'll have a girl like with a towel, looking at, and then the other songs are like show like a serial killer, and it's like, but the music is fantastic. It's all like harpsichord and that style, that old 60s,
Is it like
70s.
Giallo?
Like Jello?
I think that's like no, I think it's called Giallo. It's like Italian horror back in, I think, like 60s. It was a genre.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't know that, but I came across it. So I made this huge playlist. It's like a 30-hour playlist, and I've been listening a lot to that music lately. So on Spotify, go check out Jim Lujan, or Murder Music is my playlist. But there's a movie called in English. It's called The Red Queen Kills 7 Times. Go look it up on YouTube. You can watch it. And when you watch that movie, you'll go, oh, okay, I see where your inspiration for the music. I'm talking about like the harpsichord stuff and that really, I love that deep pick bass. Like that's like my favorite. That was the funnest thing to play, was that deep pick bass on there. But yeah, that's where the music, like the inspiration for Pleasure Beast came from, because at first it was when I had this idea, like I had it probably like 2 or 3 years ago, I was going to use all like 80s, and like kind of like what the main theme song is. And then as I started creating it, I just felt like, this is such a nice contrast. Like when the punk stuff comes up, it stands out because it's so different than the mood music. And same thing with the theme, Pleasure Beast at the end. But yeah, check out that music when you get to.
I'm curious, like just the music, the choices you make, and it's kind of like the research that goes in, and it's different from film to film. I don't know, what do we call them, films? Or I know they're not shot on film, but like, so like all that glitters, we basically create this, this country and this rap music from this country and this language, and it's just it's totally onto itself. And then here you've got these kind of Italian horror movie influences and stuff. So is it just do you kind of research that before? Is this something that you or you just listen to so much different music and like, I kind of want this to be this style or whatever? Or and then how do you dive into that when it's time to write a particular short or film?
I'm a very, very deep spirit. And your second guess is exactly right. I listen to so much different stuff that it just depends on, like this was a phase, like this is a year-long phase of listening to that Italian horror movie. The reason I call the playlist Murder Music, by the way, is because even the soft porn music that's on there, it ends in murder. Every movie ends in murder on the playlist. I don't know, it's just like a weird, but I totally got into that. And it reminds me, for some reason, that style of music reminds me of my childhood. It must have been hearing, like those movies like that must have been on as a child, and I just don't realize it. Or I murdered someone as a child, or I witnessed many murders as a child. So, I'm not sure.
It does evoke like a vibe of like like The Graduate and like films made in like that era, where it's got like that kind of harpsichord atmospheric kind of vibe to it. It's so good.
I wanted to bring this up too. The lead villain, or the lead guy in it, is named Lee Diablo. I think Gary was mentioning. And at first he was going to be this like almost English accent type character. And Charlie, he was sending me some samples of what he was going to do. And I'm like, that's so good. And I was, okay, this works. And he did it. And then I was watching, if somebody out there knows the title of this film, It's a film with yes, there is several. Some of there, yeah, Gary's familiar with the murder music playlist. It's really good for drawing too. I'm telling you guys, trust me on this. But so Charlie was we were messing with the English accent for Lee Diablo, and then I watched a film with Marlon Brando and Elizabeth Taylor. I don't remember the title of it, but it's like, I guess, the only movie they made together, and it's bizarre. And I just was something about Marlon Brando. I was watching. I'm like, you know what would be funny is if he spoke a little bit like a Marlon Brando, and Charlie took that and ran with it and created this weird hybrid kind of Marlon Brando. And the character kind of looks like an old Marlon Brando. And it just works. Like I'm amazed. I'm always continually amazed by Charlie. So much fun to work with him. But that's kind of like the story of my films. They start out as one thing and they kind of morph to something else, usually. And it keeps it fun. Keeps it fun.
So another thing I really love about your cartoons, and it seems like this one is definitely no exception. In fact, that you kind of cranked it up to 11. It seems like you'll pick something that could be fairly easy and just make it super complicated, like in a good way, where you're kind of, because I think to me I think there is a genre of humor where it only works when you commit, and I guess maybe there's some humor that you wouldn't have to commit for, but it's like I feel like the humor of your work is in this case, it's like the fact that it goes full French horror movie soundtrack, and you lean into it, and the editing is cut and serious, and there's sweeps and there's really smart pans when people are talking, and it's treated like this, very artistic, beautiful film, and a lot of it is for just for humor, and it's I feel like the commitment to it, I kind of think of Monty Python's Holy Grail. One of the reasons it's such a great movie is they actually legit committed to being pretty authentic to the period. Yeah. I don't think that would be half as funny if they were in bad costumes,
right? And
I mean, part of why it's funny is the location shoots are kind of sweeping and beautiful, but it's I don't know. Anyhow, with yours, similar thing with you have crowd sequences. There's a party scene in almost every Jim Lujan cartoon.
Yeah, I know. What's up with that?
And this one felt like that, where you were yeah, I've done club scenes, so I'm gonna do a club scene, and then I'm also gonna do a giant house party, and it's gonna be in a mansion full of 3 times as many people as I've drawn before.
In a background to a rock concert, and there's a lot of them in this one.
Yeah, and I was just stunned watching it, because the amount of work, and then also Scott's mentioned this before too. It's with your cartoons, the background characters are never ancillary characters that they all have their own, I could pause it and kind of be oh, that's the guy who does, you can just kind of tell what type of person they are.
Yeah. So Josh, I got one of the most fun things to do was when I was animating with Jim was to look at how he named those characters, because they're not just guy 1, guy 2. There's very descriptive names of who they are. I feel like each one of them has a backstory, and every once in a while Jim would say, yeah, this guy, I feel like he's really gotten into meth, and then he got over it. Now he's clean, but he's the guy that drinks Diet Coke at the bar, It's each one of them has this little thread of why they look.
They're my friends, Cory.
So Jim, has this ever? And I may have asked you this before, but has this ever happened where you create a background character and later you maybe look at it this guy's got I think this guy's got a story here, and actually use that character and flesh him out more for a more of a main character? Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, several of them. I have a character called Alpha Nerd, and it's a superhero character, and he was a background character. And that turned into like, oh, I want to do a main story with them. Yeah, that happens. It happens here and there. Yeah. What else? I created a character called Harry Potter. And they made a whole series of movies from him. But no, that absolutely happens, and it will continue to happen because it's just like riffing, kind of. It's like you accidentally discover a really cool guitar riff or something like that, and you just make a whole song about it. So that's kind of fun. I like to keep it loose. And I noticed there's some really good questions too in the chat.
Yeah. So Gary's
Gary
asking
see them.
What's the original kernel of the Pleasure Beast idea?
The song came first, and originally it was going to be a story about what do they call that? Is it a gang mall or a mob mall? Like the girls that hang out with the like mobsters.
There's a name for that.
Yeah. This is the word mall. Darth Mall.
Mob groupie.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Mafia groupie. It was going to be about a mafia groupie, and I started working on that, and then I realized, and then it turned into, it's going to be a singer, and then that actual singer. Oh, Scott, this is a good example to your question. That singer turned into a character named Corona from a film I did called Lars Lazarus. So then I'm like, well, she's not going to be in Pleasure Beast. So then I scrapped that. And then a couple of months went by, and I think I went to Lars Lazarus. I didn't even do Pleasure Beast. And then when I went back to Pleasure Beast, for some reason, probably the murder music that I listened to, that idea just, the music inspired the idea, like this could be about a housewife, and it just, that's where it took off from there. And then the name Lee Diablo just came to me one day. And I'm like, this is so good that it must be like a celebrity, or it must be real. I must have heard it somewhere. So I was Googling it, and all the Lee Diablos I found that weren't people that I had ever heard of. And so I said, I'm going to go with it. Lee Diablo. So that's kind of where that's the kernel of the idea came. It's a kernel that changed shapes different times. But
you heat that kernel up and it becomes popcorn.
That's right.
That kind of kernel.
Right.
Do you know going into your animations which ones are going to be sort of more long form or which ones are going to be shorter? Or is it just where that idea takes you? And
no, I'm very as loose as I am, and Cory knows this firsthand. As loose as I am with my process, I am OCD when it comes to the length of a film. Like I say, this is going to be I'm not even kidding. I said, when I did Pleasure Beast, I said, this is going to be a 24-minute film. It's 28 minutes. So I failed. But I think about that all the time. I just said, this story seems to be like when I did Infinity Pool. This is going to be a 28-minute film. It's probably 28 minutes. Yeah, I always do that. I tell myself this because it's just, I don't know. Because when I create a story, I always kind of know the ending where it's going to end up, and I say, well, how much interesting stuff can happen to get to that ending, and then how much will the audience be going, oh God, what time is it? Yeah, and I kind of want to, like Josh had mentioned, the pacing. I want to keep the pacing really fresh and keep it where you want to see the next scene coming up. And so I am very OCD when it comes to the length of a cartoon. I don't know if you guys, when you do books, if you're like that, like this is going to be a 30-page book or a 100-page book.
Yeah, I mean, for me, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just saying, like with my graphic novels, I usually have a really good idea of the length. What I usually always underestimate is the amount of time it takes to make a graphic novel.
Yeah.
So like right now, I'm penciling the first panel for the first panel that I've had to pencil for 2 Stories book 2, and that's the first panel on page 4 of 130 something. So it's like, I forget to do the math, and I wonder if some of that's just like survival strategies. But I definitely usually have a pretty good idea of like the page count.
Yeah, for me, mine are always 22 pages because that's the size of a comic when I was growing up. But I'm trying to get myself out of that mindset, and whatever my next project is, well, the next issue will actually be larger because I've just got too much to wrap up in one issue and not enough for two. But there's times I wish I didn't stick to that because you don't need to stick to that anymore, really. I don't think.
I used to obsess about that.
I felt I kind of yeah, but there's times like I felt like I had to rush certain scenes and things because that I don't want to do. And I may go back in when I publish it as a full volume and add a few, extra pages for things that I felt like I kind of cut short a little. Not that George Lucas the whole thing, but kind of
as an illustrator, you don't have the luxury to go like, well, I can go an extra page for this one panel. You guys have to fit it in a format.
So that's the catch is like if it has to like especially graphic novel or a comic, it's like if you've plotted it out to be like a 28-page book, and then suddenly you need like 2 more panels that aren't going to fit in those pages. Now you have to add 4 more pages.
Yeah.
So anytime you do that overage, it's an overage by 4 pages because you have to be in.
Unless you can add like an ad, or even if you don't do ads, you can do like a print, like a pinup or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
Just a picture of you like that.
I like that.
So I have a friend, Bill. Shout out to Bill Moran. And this guy notices everything. Like he's like the best person to show stuff to because he really catches on you give him a clue and he'll catch on to it. And he was one of the ones that had a really great theory of it about Lee Diablo. And
nice.
by the way, if in my opinion, I never designed Lee Diablo to be like, oh, he's secretly the devil, But I'd like you guys to start that rumor because I think it'll get a lot of hits. But
wait. One quick question because I don't want you to tell me his theory before.
No, I'm not going to tell you his theory because it'll ruin it. But
okay.
Yeah, but he said this. He goes, this movie is a repeated viewing movie because he caught on to one of the things I snuck in there about Gilbert, Gilbert Viejo, one of the guy playing guitar in church. Mm-hmm. And he found a little connection in there, like, oh, and I'm like, good job, Bill, you got it. So there's a couple of things in there like that. They're not really like Easter eggs as much as they are as like, oh, I see, it ties together. There's some of that stuff in there, and yeah, it's definitely a repeated viewing film. There's a lot of it's pretty dense too. There's a lot of stuff happening in it.
Yeah, I've honestly watched it quite a few times, and that's not just because I'm in it. It's like it's just a fun one to watch, and generally,
although he does put his scenes on loop, I've seen it.
That's true. Yeah, I just put my scenes on loop. But yeah, it's like it's just so fun, and I agree with like the richness of it is cool. Like I think this is something very unique to Jim's cartoons that you don't see a lot in animation. Or maybe you do, but it's like I personally feel like I haven't seen that as much where there's like a care for every character and there's a backstory to every character. And there's a richness to every character to the point where at least even if you don't have a full backstory, you give us enough like nuggets, like little ideas that it can.
Speaking of nuggets, no,
yes,
you actually gave me a really great segue because I was going to make an exclusive Artcasters announcement. This is where you play the wah, 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 wah. Okay, I am going to be launching a series on YouTube called Jim Lujan Character Assassin. And what it is, I'm going to pick random characters from my films. Some of them might even sort of be background characters. Some of them will be main characters. Some of them will be from Pleasure Beast. But I'm going to take each one of those characters and do a little 5-minute or under mini deep dive. I'm going to talk about their backstory, things that you'll never see on screen. Yeah, just total. If I say a guy's from Gary, Indiana, I'll show a photo of Gary, Indiana. You know, it's going to be kind of like that. And then I'm also, I think at the end I'll tag it with played by whoever, you know, the photo of the person that played the character or whatever. But it's just me talking about their character.
I love that idea because there's so much richness to your characters. And also I always, to me, I imagine like my dream for like you, Jim, would be that like some executive just gives you a crap load of money and goes, just make the Luhaniverse, like the Luhanverse, like just make that as like an endless season show.
To borrow a little bit from my friend Yehudi, who was on last week or the week before, I forget. But I'm talking with a dude, talking with a guy right now. And we'll see what happens. Maybe there'll be some good stuff coming up. We'll see. But I do this stuff regardless. I mean, you know me. I do this when nobody's watching. Sure. I'll still do this. But yeah, I am talking with somebody about some stuff.
You know what we need, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
We need like the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, but of the Luhaniverse.
Yes. I was trying to get people to call it the Luniverse at one point.
Yeah, I don't know what the term is, but whatever you call it.
Yeah, I think of the Luniverse though, they might think Looney Tunes, but you're right. And what I've always wanted to do, maybe I'll hire a college student, you know, to do this, but there's like so many connections in the cartoons, like this. Yeah, I'll give you one example. Freak Daddy, a character that I have, originally appeared in an Alpha Nerd cartoon, and there's a scene in there, and Freak Daddy appears there, and Freak Daddy was also in a film I did. One of the first things I ever did. It was called Get Your Groove On, and that's not even online. I don't think that was public access TV days, and Freak Daddy, that's when he made his debut. So it would be kind of neat to connect all the dots. But if I did it myself, I think I would go insane.
I think it would be fun if they're done as videos where it's a guy with like a cork board who's just got like threads and he's like, this is how it all connects, guys. But I mean, I agree. Like I actually personally would have trouble like keeping up with it because there's so many of them. But I think that's actually
my iPad's about to die.
No, his iPad's about to die. Hey, let's pour a 40 for Scott's iPad.
Alas.
So Salazar Art Nation asks, will there be a how to animate the Lujan Way book? It would be a very short book, but
we did a show. We did a Breaking the Chains.
Yeah. So check that out. There's a on that's right, on the show Breaking the Chains. Cory, is that on your site?
Yes.
Breaking the Chains. Go to CoryKerr.com. Check out Breaking the Chains. There's an episode where we each did our animation methods.
There's an unnecessarily complicated episode, and then there's Jim's episode.
Yeah. So Cory, you know
perfection.
So you know that Pleasure Beast. I mean, it could turn out to be the last on this machine that I use now. Could end up being the last one. I'm going to use my computer until it stops working. Yeah. Or it could last another 45 years. I don't know. But once it dies, then I'm going to get a new computer, and I'll have to get that cloud thing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or somebody else will be animating for me if everything turns out right. That'll be nice.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's impressive that computer that you've got, do you have to replace the hamster every so often, or is it the original hamster?
I actually retire them. I have a hamster retirement home.
Little hamster graveyard.
Yeah. Well, eventually.
How much are you doing it on the iPad? Is that just for the artwork?
So the artwork, all of the artwork, iPad, all of it. Like this was 100% done on the iPad in Procreate, and then I move it around in Flash. So I don't draw in Flash, but I move it around in Flash, and then just export it and edit it. And, but like we were just saying, on Cory's site, there's a video of how I do the animation. I'm trying to, one thing, if somebody's out there and they want to do their own film or short, I always say it's very important to do a method that will allow you to create, like a method that you're like, this isn't too complicated or too convoluted, that you'll actually, that the method doesn't become the roadblock. Your ideas should be your roadblock. So, but, and I'm proof of that because I try to keep my method as simple as possible. But, and also reusing art too. So you like the crowd scenes, some of the art's reused, like some of the background, I keep files of background characters and I put them in the background, you know, so I'll reuse art. So characters, you look at the background of this film, you'll see some of those characters in other films, but that only gets you, that's only like filler. You still have to draw the, like, you know, to create the ambience, you still have to draw the new characters, which I love to do.
I do the same thing. The guy, the black guy with the face mask in Indo Exo, his jacket is what the pirate gunner is wearing in that Be Mine music video.
Oh wow! And I've seen firsthand. So like my background character will be like this, and Cory's background character is like this, except the fabric moves. And if this moves, that tugs this over here, which also creates, you know, and his spinal column has to, like Cory's are so like, they're completely detailed. Right?
It'll be like, I have a joysticks and slider attached to every pore on the skin of this character.
It's a cascade. I link everything to everything else so that I only have to move one thing and then it all.
I think Cory one time told me when we were working on, and I have a lot of stories embarrassing about me when we were working on Unchained Aggression, the short that we worked on together. Yeah. But there was one point Cory said, because the eye has the film of the eye is kind of wet, and when he said that, I'm like, stop.
No, I know what it was. It was because the cornea bulges outward a little bit. That I had when he looked down and looked to the left and to the right. I had it so the lower eyelid would bulge outward to mimic the cornea moving it as it.
None of my characters have corneas. I'm against corneas. That is ridiculous.
one of your characters does, because that was Unchained Wayne that I did that with.
But I mean, it looks great. I mean, I can't, like, when I see it, I put trust in Cory when he was doing that, because it was like, you go, boy, because that's like a different part of the brain. I don't have that part.
I'll tell you, no one will ever notice this. It's usually a waste of time. I think you're right. But like when that happens, he's about, I can't raise my arm right now, but he like raises both of his arms and he looks back and forth before he delivers this line. That's when you see the eyelid thing.
Like I saw in the YouTube comments, people are like, oh my God, that cornea is the best cornea.
In the comments, I want to give a shout out to a fellow person who also recently just got in a crash and is hanging in our chats, Second Street Marvel, which is a great YouTube channel as well. So go check that out when you guys can. But
you say he got in a crash?
Yeah, bicycle hit by a car. So it's
it a bicycle?
Like him and Cory are like brothers in arms.
Was it a bicycle hit by a motorcycle in Idaho?
That
would be the next Jim Lujan cartoon.
Right. Wow. It's this chain reaction of different car accidents.
I like that idea, actually. What it'll be is two streamers that were injured and unbeknownst to them until they find out in a chat.
Never cross the streams. Well, get well. Title. Get well. I say get well. You.
Oh man.
Yeah, everybody's got something right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dude, so okay, here's a thing that kind of relates a little bit to our kind of silly topic in general. I love the title, but I do think there's a lot of people. I know I used to have this when I was like a young creator. I think my first comic, Numb, fell prey to like what a lot of people's first stories are as artists, which was like, I don't know what to write, and that was the story where it's like, what'll I write? There's nothing to write. I don't know what to make. And And I do think there is a little bit to like writer's block and things like that, where people, when they find themselves, let's say they have like a day job or whatever, they're new to like sort of the creative field, and like they'll get time to be creative and suddenly get hit by like this crazy block. That's not something I see from you ever, Jim. And so like, I'm kind of curious, when did that start? Like these just kind of immensely complicated ideas that you come up with, like seemingly just off the top of your head.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me.
Yeah.
Usually speaking words of wisdom. So happiness is a warm gun.
Got it. Yeah. So you're not a man that misses much. I can tell that.
No. Mother Superior jumped the gun. Anyways. Okay.
Have you heard the Pixies cover of that song? It's so good. There's like
no. By the way, that's tangent. This is true, but it's a tangent. I'll get back to the answer. And this will explain so much to you. As a child, as a little kid, like 4 years old, I had 3 albums I discovered in my brother's, and I would play them constantly, over and over. One was the White Album. So as a little kid, Happiness is a Warm Gun is my favorite song. And so I knew the White Album ups. I had no idea there was other Beatles stuff besides the White Album as a kid.
That's a good album to start with, man.
The other one was Jesus Christ Superstar. And yeah, the other one I believe it might have been Astrid Gilberto. She's a bossa nova singer. But yeah, so that explains everything. Okay.
Yep.
No, you know what? When it comes to like writer's block or like, oh, this is just can't get past this part. I think a big part of it is about not being precious. It sounds corny, and I always try to think of something different but just do it. That's corny, but if you just create something, even if you're not happy with it, and move on, it'll do one or two things. Either you'll get past that point and go, oh, it works. I'm past that block, or you'll look back and go, oh, that's horrible. I got to go back and fix it, and that'll solve itself. It'll work itself out. So if you just don't stop, you just don't be precious, just move on. I think that's when I did the trailer that you saw. I edited that, started doing it last night, and then I finished it right before the show. And it's like not perfect, but I'm like, it's good enough, you know.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than, like, in my mind, I think, oh, it could be a certain way, and it's not that way. But I don't dwell on it. I just move on to the next thing. Yeah. So that's kind of like a way to get, past. The hardest part is getting started, and there's like so many, like, I feel like a coach. There's so many cliches that you can say, but they're cliches for a reason because they're true, and, it's like a soul confession of his wife, which she ate and donated to the National Trust. So that's a White Album reference. Sorry.
Yeah, I need a fix because I'm going down, and I left my copy.
By the way, he says "down to the bits." As a kid, I was singing "bitch." I was saying "go down to the bitch."
I'm trying to think. I think I had Weird Al "Dare to Be Stupid," Megadeth "Countdown to Extinction," and the Best of the Ramones. I think those were the three that I had.
The first album I ever bought, the first album that was ever bought for me, my brother, I'll never forget this. On my 6th birthday, I think, he bought me a 4-album set called The Original Kiss, The Originals. It was called. Oh. It had the first Kiss album. It had Hotter Than Hell. It had maybe Love Gun, and it didn't have Destroyer. It had, and then another album. There was 4 albums, and then Kiss Alive 2. Those changed my life as a little kid. So,
man.
Like, people like totally rag on Kiss, and I understand it because it's of your time. But if you're a little kid, it's amazing.
Yeah, because I do think
I'm going to see Kiss this Sunday.
Yeah,
coming back because I went. They had it in the end of their last. Supposedly it's their last.
I
tour,
know.
and they came, but they it seems like they're coming back around on the same tour because. And I went and I saw them and I had like awesome seats. My cousin used to tour with them as like a caterer or whatever.
Wow.
And so he got me awesome seats like right up front. So I like, and this one's more like in like that one was in like a stadium. This one's more like on the lawn. And I'm like, oh man, that last experience was so good. I don't know. But then and then my brother called me, I got an extra ticket. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go.
Wow.
So
I'm sure it's an amazing show. It's probably mind blowing. But to me, this is going to be another Kiss tangent. To me, my two favorite members of Kiss are Peter Criss and Ace Frehley.
Mine too.
I was like, those are my guys. Like, and I saw Kiss in 1999, the reunited Kiss, and that was like a prophecy coming true. Because as a kid, I remember opening the album and you see this Kiss Alive 2 and there's this giant crowd scene and people are like, you know, and I thought that's what a concert is. Like concerts, people are just throwing each other around and they're passing drugs and they're just like, it's like crazy and they're smashing guitar. Like as a kid, I thought concerts were like a rumble, you know? And it was like, I don't know if I'll ever go to a concert, you know? And, so I never thought I'd go to a Kiss show. You know, for one, they kind of split, you know, the Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. And then when they reunited, I got to see them. So that was like a really weird, good experience. Like I felt like I checked that off my list. Then when they left again and they kind of reformed, I was just like, well, that's cool for them. But like, I'm kind of, you know, but
I never got to see the 4 original members.
It was amazing. Yeah. By the way, Josh, when you do Artcasters, you should like do the first 10 minutes in a Paul Stanley concert rant, like, "Hey everybody, how you all doing out there?"
Well, which Paul Stanley is it? There's 2 Paul Stanleys. There's the one where he's just like, "This is Paul Stanley. How you doing?"
Yeah.
And then there's that, "Hello, party people."
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, there's a 26-minute video of Paul Stanley. It's all edited. Him just talking like that, like, "Everybody, how many of you like to get high? You know, we're gonna drink some cold gin. You know?
It's hot in here. You gotta call the firehouse."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here's one last
album.
one last Kiss thing I'll say, and then we'll drop. But the one card that you can always play when people say I don't like Kiss or whatever, and especially with women, you can. I don't like that. What about Beth? Or like, oh, I like that song. That's a good song. And Beth does such a good song. Yeah, because I know people that do not like Kiss, but they love Beth. That song, Beth. Yeah. So.
Well, there's a few songs that you play and like, oh, that's Kiss. Like Hard Luck One. A lot of people stuff. Like Hard Luck One is the same thing.
Oh, like I Was Made for Loving You. All the disco people know that song, and they're like, that's a Kiss song. Yeah, this is a great song.
Yeah.
So I know it's not the coolest thing, but I'm sorry they formed my childhood.
2000, not 2000. What's the one? Oh, New
2000 Man or something. Yeah,
2000 Man. But I was thinking New York State of Mind. Is not State of Mind. New York Groove. New York Groove.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
I feel like
that one.
That's definitely one of those things I feel like I missed because of just generation. Like where it's like I think I was like 4 years. Too young, like to kind of be like into Kiss, because by the time I think I was kind of at the age where that would be like the thing, it was just not a thing. You know, it's like they didn't have the Marvel comics with the blood in them. And
Kiss is to me what Masters of the Universe is to you and Cory. Because I'm a little bit too old for Masters of the Universe, and you guys are you were too young for Kiss.
Yeah.
So Kiss has been ruined by a comic book writer who used to make movies about them all. Is that what? That's what's.
Let's not talk crap about Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith. I'm a nerd for Kevin Smith stuff. So, but I will say I couldn't get I didn't even get to the big twist that pissed everybody off because, frankly, like
it's so boring.
I can't sit through an old He-Man episode anymore. You know,
oh,
it's
man,
hard to.
I'm gonna reach. This is gonna be worth it. This is the seminal He-Man work.
See, I still haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
It's good?
this is the Cartoon Network one from the early 2000s.
All right.
It's
I'm gonna have
legit.
to check that out.
Is it seminal He-Man or seminal He-Man?
Yes,
Both.
yes, both of those. That's what makes He-Man.
Because that's a
He-Man.
whole different magazine, by the way.
There's a new He-Man that's out on. I can't believe Netflix was like, hey, Jeff Smith, why don't you do whatever you want with He-Man? And then off to the side, they're like, hey, just in case, let's make another one. And the other one is really good.
By the way, you guys realize you're saying the words.
Yeah, it just came out last week, and like nobody's talking about it, but I actually really like it.
You guys realize you're saying the words He-Man, right?
Yep.
Okay. I always thought that was odd.
It is really odd. The thing is, it's a pretty terrible premise, but it still brings up nostalgia for me. But what
I love about it is it's the idea that there's this one planet where there's a master of something in the entire universe. And like whatever it is, master of arms, master of flight, master of ramming things with your head. And they're the best person that rams things with their head in the entire universe. That's the premise.
Well, I think that the thing about He-Man or Master of the Universe that's so great is it's just so a mash of so many different things. It's like, we got future stuff. We got kind of old Lord of the Ringsy type stuff. We're just throwing barbarians in you're just throwing everything in. That's what it's almost like kid logic, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, have you
100%.
guys seen the Toys That Made Us episode that like kind of goes over He-Man? It's pretty incredible. Like it's like it explains like how he ended up riding a tiger and like
oh yeah, right. I think I have seen that.
They had
one.
Yeah, they have these leftover dies of tigers.
Wait a minute.
And they were like, okay, well, so we have this like saddle from this other toy kit, and we have this so we could paint it like a different color.
Hold the phone a second. There's all this He-Man talk, but what about the OG Thundar, the Barbarian?
Yeah.
With the dual, he was the first one to have the dual-sided lightsabers.
And people don't know this, but that's Thundar the Barbarian. It's actually Glenn Danzig. So people don't know that. So.
I think it was Thundar, right? Was it Thundar that had the thing?
I'm glad you brought up.
Yeah.
And he put it together.
The Sun Sword, but I thought the Sun Sword was just like a lightsaber, but I didn't know it was double-sided.
I thought when he put it together, it was maybe I'm inventing that from my mind. We need to get like Creed Stonegate on here or something. But I think it is. I think I'll have to go look it up.
Was Thundar Jack Kirby? Did he work on that? Like the actual?
I think Alex Toth may. I think
Alex Toth. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think Alex Toth did some designs. I could be wrong. It could be Kirby. I'm not sure.
So this kind of it's funny that you mentioned Danzig because that kind of reminds me of a point I was going to make about the inspiration thing where it's like one of my favorite musicians of all time is Ian MacKaye, who's like he was in Minor Threat. He kind of started a lot of the hardcore movement in Washington D.C. and then formed Fugazi. He's one of my favorite musicians. He also played
Gandalf.
Yeah, he is so prolific, you never know. But what's cool about him is he has a lot of really great things to say about like creativity and the process of writing music and stuff. And there's a few things I like about his ethic as a guitarist that I've always related to a lot, like when I play music or do art, where it's like the whole time he was with Minor Threat, the whole time he was with Fugazi, he like didn't even allow himself to have a distortion pedal. He was just like, I've got a guitar, I've got an amplifier. That's it. And then I think later on he allowed one pedal. He's like, okay, I have fuzz. That's it. I like that. For me as a creator, I'm kind of like that. Like if I have too many pedals and effects and toys, I get stifled and I will experience kind of writer's block. But if I limit what I have to work with, even in the sense of constructing a story, like if I hone in on a character and I say like, hey, what do I want to say about this one character? If I start getting into crazy universe stuff, like where I'm like, oh, and then like it's going to be in this world where all these, it's like, I have to kind of stop myself and like, and restrict myself. And in that I find a lot of ideas pop up. Whereas I feel like, and same with guitar, like I still don't use a ton of pedals because like I come up with more ideas like with the limitations that
That's
I have.
a really good exercise for someone too, to limit yourself, your palette, limit yourself, your tools.
Yeah.
Because then it's like a challenge of just creativity. And I think a lot of people, I've always, I just realized last week, I've been using the word cargo cult wrong. I thought cargo cult meant like you were just so into your tools only. Cargo cult's something else, but
is that a term that exists?
Cargo cult.
I've heard it before. I think it's like
Yeah,
jumping on the bandwagon or something, isn't
cargo,
it? Cargo,
as far from what I know, cargo cult. So how it started was during, was it World War II? They went to some islands and they were dropping supplies, and the people on the islands had no experience with outsiders, so they started like they turned it into like this was like a spiritual thing, you know, and that's where it's cargo cult from. Or it's a cult where they wear nothing but cargo shorts. I don't know, but
I like that one.
It's basically 1990s Gap, basically.
Yeah, but so like I've always felt that it's the danger with process videos and stuff too, because you could get a little bit too much into like, this is my moleskin, you know, sketchbook. And like with me, I'd always, you know, they say ice the kicker. I'd always like freak myself out when I get a really expensive sketchbook because I'd be like, oh, this is almost too pristine. So I went back to using like notebook, you know, like you buy it like, you know, Target or whatever, just like lined paper, and I don't feel precious with it, you know. Yeah. But I mean, you know, but it's just something to think about if somebody's wondering why they're not being so prolific. It's because it's the tools sometimes can become more important than the actual getting something done a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird place to draw the line, because I know I'm really interested in what kind of tools people are using, and most artists are, but you also have to understand that it's not the tools, you know, it's the artist. So it's a little bit, you know, like, oh, that's interesting, and you know, I might want to try that out or whatever, but you can get the same effect with just about anything, really.
And any of the artists that you like, especially established artists that you respect, I think most of them, the tools are like secondary. They're just like, I'm so used to using this that it's not even a thought, and they don't, you know. Yeah, but it's funny. You know, we all make fun of people on Instagram and take pictures of their food, but artists are just as bad, because we'll be like, here's my drawing, and my pen just happens to be laid out exactly right there. So
I do that for two reasons. One, I want to prove that it's like actual. It's kind of like this isn't stock. Like I made this. This is a thing. Look at the tool I made it with. It's real. And then the other one is sometimes I do that for scale. Because as Josh always makes fun of me, but like when I ink things, I tend to ink things where like you need to see it next to a dime to understand that it's impressive.
Yeah, and my rant right now, that was kind of passive aggressive because I was everything I was talking about Cory. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have to print a retraction real quick. Scott was right. Thundar the Barbarian does not have a double-bladed sword.
No, he's got the fires.
Okay, but Galtar, the Galtar and the Golden Lance, he is a barbarian that Hanna-Barbera did that has the double-bladed glowing sword.
What?
Yeah.
Are you making that up?
I'm not. Look up Galtar and the Golden Lance. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I think it's going to be an adult site.
Well, yeah, but it's the basis of Darth Maul.
Going back to your scale comment, I want to get that giant penny that's in the Batcave so I can put it next to my artwork and make it look like I drew it really small.
That'd be awesome. Check out the detail of this, and then just put like a fat Sharpie next to it. Like I did it with this.
I love it. I think Gary said it in the chats too. He said it concerns me when a beginner asks about tools, and it's like I actually kind of it's a mix, because I remember being baffled by what I should use like when I was starting this whole thing, and pretty much that's all I would ask like any creator when I first met him was like, what do you use? Because I didn't know. Yeah. And there is a hunger to know that stuff, but I also do feel like the parallel with music totally is true. Like if my son ever gets to the age where he wants to like learn guitar and start a band or something, and he asks me for a guitar, I'm not going to buy him like the guitar I just bought recently, because like that, you have no purpose using that as like a new guitarist. Like, not that I'm a good guitarist now, but it's like I can play what I play on that on a really bad, like crappy, like Squire or something.
Okay, I want to run with your guitar.
So learn on the Squire. Like, don't go drop like a couple grand for like a perfect guitar that you're probably going to screw up because you don't know how to turn tuning pegs yet. You know, like
here's
the guitar that you can like break the neck of and it doesn't kill you. You know?
But also, I think you should get a guitar that has good enough machine heads that it stays in tune.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's my balance, is like, because for me, apparently I'm totally different than all of you, but like for me, like the tools and the experimentation with process is what drives me to make things. So like if I learn a new animation trick or a new way to rig something or a new plugin or something, like I'll make a whole cartoon just so that I can play with that one tool. And it was the same thing with illustration. Like when I realized that you use brushes to ink things, I like did like a whole series of illustrations based off of playing with that tool. So I do think, like, you know, you can get like tool crazy and go nuts with it, and it's bad. But also, if the only thing that you know about is like a micron and a number 2 pencil, like you might burn out on that before you really get to like experience the fun of making things.
Yeah, for sure. I think because I agree, and I think like for like I know people who play music who are like really ambient musicians, and they have like 50 pedals and they use them all, you know, and they need them. But I guess my point is, like, if somebody's struggling with like if the like, I think that works if you're in that zen where like the creativity's coming, and then you can kind of play and mess with tools and stuff like that. But one of the things I love that like Jim was saying that I think is just so key was like I made a trailer. It probably could have been better, but it was good enough. Right. And I think there's something to be said for that, because I do know people get locked in this like perfectionism, and not just like at the final stages, but like at the iteration stages where they're just trying to come up with an idea. And next thing you know, they're making like, you know, the next giant epic. And it's like, you know, there's something to be said for just starting it, making it the best you can.
Yeah.
And on to the next project, because you start racking up projects and
it's about, and it's also about, does it work? Not how well does it work, but does it work? It works. So, you know, if it doesn't work, that's a whole different issue, you know?
Right. And that's all I'm saying is, like, I think at the beginning stage on the low end, you can get that guitar that doesn't stay in tune, and it becomes so frustrating that it's not worth it. And you lose the love of music, because you've got to like tune the guitar every 3 strums.
You know, actually, I really honestly think if you're a new guitarist, you should get a guitar that goes out of tune like every 5 minutes, because you'll learn how to tune.
You and I have had this conversation, but tuning a guitar is the worst thing on the planet.
So Josh, over to your right-hand side, Josh, is your computer over there? Right there where you're looking.
That way? That way, yes.
No, that way. Okay, because I keep expecting the camera to pan over there, and there's a guy with a gun, like.
Oh, it's like, so.
He's like, keep talking, Kemble.
So let's see if I can come up with anything.
Hey, you guys know how to make a lot of money, like really fast?
So you guys know that experience where you're drawing and you feel a lot of pressure, like, you know. You feel like maybe somebody's forcing you to draw, but you almost want your friends to like.
You just start writing help on the screen.
Exactly. Or I know there's like, I think there's some kind of signals or something. I'll give you guys the not okay signals.
And speaking of pleasure beasts.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a little off topic, but
is a safe word transition? Is that the
Glenn Danzig is actually in Pleasure Beast, and that's not a joke. He is. Speaking of Glenn Danzig, he's in the club scene. He's in the background of a club scene. So I don't know if I owe him money, or maybe I owe him money. I don't.
maybe, yeah, you might need a disclaimer that says all likenesses are incidental on.
I only know one Glenn
unintentional.
Danzig song, so.
So here's a thing that okay, so this is like on a counter to the whole like inspiration thing, where it's like, so because you have so many ideas, and I have totally experienced this just hanging out with you, Jim, where like even in a random conversation, if we made like a joke about some fake character, within 5 minutes, like you have a backstory for the character, you know where they live, you know what their favorite kind of music is, like your imagination will go kind of wild with that. So in that case, like when you have that accessed and unlocked, how do you kind of rein it in to keep a through line for your story? Because like Pleasure Beast is it does have so much richness and like all these interesting details that like suggest deeper stories and connections, but it never loses that main plot thread or fails to like tie it together at the end. How do you kind of manage that without kind of accidentally going off on too many tangents? You know,
it's a balance between like you have to leave some stuff out that you'd like to put in, and so because to contribute to the flow of the story. Because again, I always picture myself in a room watching it with people, so I don't want to be embarrassed. You know, like this is dragging. But it's also I have learned it's way better to overestimate the audience than underestimate the audience. So give the audience credit. Like you don't have to explain everything to them, because even when you explain it, they still make stuff up in their own heads. So it's better to just infer stuff. Yeah, you're right. There's so much stuff that I would like to have put like, oh, this, then this changes that. And, but I went through it with this actual project with Pleasure Beast, because there was some stuff backstory on the couple of the side characters that I wanted to include, but then I thought it doesn't make it a better film, and it doesn't actually help it move quicker, so I just had to leave it out. But yeah, it's just with time and practice, I guess that happens. But there's always, yeah, if I went and it would be a 3.5 hour movie if I put everything that I would like to put in it, which is the 3.5 hour movie's coming out next week, special edition, by the way.
I love it. So another really nerdy question, is it supposed to be a bit inspired by Sympathy of the Devil or for the Devil, or was that just a little nod?
Oh, you mean the line where he says, "Please allow me to introduce myself"?
Yes.
It's literally the lyrics of Sympathy for the Devil. Yeah. So yes.
But you said he's not. You said he's not really like the.
No, I mean, in my mind, if somebody has a really great fan theory, then I'll listen to it. But like when I designed it, I didn't want it to be like he's not a supernatural guy. That's kind of, to me, the joke is that this guy presents himself as like, I mean, his phone number is like 800-555, something 666, or I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And his motto he's a real estate guy, by the way, for you about to see the film. It's just this real estate guy. Like, how weird would it be if your real estate was this like borderline Satanist or like weird occult guy, but he's your realtor, That's kind of the joke. So that's funnier that he's not actually like the devil or something.
Yeah, I love that you give like enough nods to where it's like that's the suggestion. It almost feels like he's like the 80s version of like stay away from clubs or you're gonna run into this type. Like he's like that personified, but also, yeah, just a realtor.
So when you guys watch it, go ahead.
I was going to say I've got a print that I did called Chet Williams Villainous Real Estate, and basically he specializes in like underground lairs and secret hideouts and things like that. So
that's awesome. See, that's really cool. I'd like to see that.
It's on my website. Yeah,
that's awesome. Did you just do a print of it, or is it? Do you thought about this?
It's just a print. I just thought it'd be fun because back when I was doing most of my prints kind of center around like mad science and stuff like that, and I just thought that would be funny. Like, where do supervillains get their evil hideout? Where there has to be a supervillain real estate agent. So I just created them.
One of the things that I thought people might take away from this is, and even I look at it and go, is like, who is there really a villain in Pleasure Beast 2? When you watch the film, it's set up where of course, it's set up where he's kind of like, he's supposed to be the villain, but it's just, it's kind of complex, you know, as his life.
Yeah, I do like that. He of all the most villainous things done in the film aren't necessarily done by him. So it's like
exactly,
it's kinda, but I do, man. There's just so many sequences. I don't want to blow the plot because you guys all should be watching and saying this. But there's a sequence in his house, in a room there, where he says a line that was one of the funniest things I've ever heard Jim Lujan have somebody say. There's just a lot of really good stuff that I think, you know, most of our viewers by now are familiar with Jim's stuff. If you're not, go to Jim's YouTube channel, right? Watch, I mean, you could literally binge for like a week and not run out of cartoons, you know, in the Lujan verse. And it's a really cool universe. It's not just, you know, I don't know, there's an authentic voice to it that's very much like the cool thing about indie animation, where it's like, you know, when you see stuff by like studios, a lot of the time it can start feeling like, I don't know who directed this. I don't know who drew this, you know? And it's like with Jim's stuff, it's like authentically, you know, it's Lujan, like the second you see it, the feel of it, I don't know. It's good. I'm blown away by it, man. I thought it was supposed to be shorter. I feel like I feel like you had plans to have it much shorter than that.
24 minutes and turned out to be 28 minutes.
Wow, that's still ambitious though, man.
Yeah.
24 minutes of animation.
Yeah, when I first put it on, I saw the length of it. I'm like, oh wow, this is like a not a full
television
length,
episode.
But I mean, yeah. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I know. You know what? That's okay. So I'll just going back about what I used to be OCD about. I would always be worried about that. Like, are people going to watch? Less people will watch a longer cartoon. It's absolutely true.
Right.
But what I'm finding is, and I had this talk with Gary Hodges off the air, it's like you might get less viewers, but the viewers that watch it are way more invested.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of been the story of my creative life. You know, you have a smaller fan base, but the fan base that you have is very loyal and very interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, so that leads me to a question. Like, so with the trailer, because at first I'm thinking, is there a need for a trailer for a YouTube video? You know, that people can kind of access. You know, just so. But now it kind of makes sense, and I love the trailer. The trailer is great, even though I saw the full film first. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you can get them to watch that small snippet of it, and then get them invested, and then. Yeah,
exactly. And the trailer, actually, I made the trailer for later, like, so somebody can just stumble upon it later on. And I'll probably put the link at the end of it. But, you know, 2 years from now, maybe somebody will see the trailer and be like, oh, I want to see that whole movie or whatever.
Yeah,
because
I'm kind of curious where you distribute a trailer like that. If you just post it on like social media and like, hey, check it out, trailer for my new. Yeah.
I'm also going to be I'm going to post some scenes from it, short little scenes, because I think that's another way to get people, when they see what it is, they're like, oh, okay, I might want to watch this, you know. And if any of you guys are related to or are really good friends with Jeff Bezos, let me know, because I've been putting my stuff on Amazon. The last like 4 films I've done, I put on Amazon, and there's this thing now where the lifespan on Amazon is so short now. Not that it's gone. Like, my stuff is still on Amazon, but they made it all for rent now. Like, it's on Amazon Prime. You used to be able to watch it for free, and then all of a sudden I noticed, and it's not just me, the distributor that I put it on with, like all the films that he put up, like in one day, boom, they just made everything for. I don't know why that happens. It's like, so it kind of makes me hesitant to put Pleasure Beast on Amazon, because I want more people to see it, not.
I was kind of curious, because Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you pull some stuff off your YouTube channel to put on Amazon? Is that stuff?
No.
Amazon?
No,
Is everything
that's on everything that's on Amazon is still on my YouTube channel.
Like seemed like did you pull anything else off? Because I was going through the YouTube channel, it seemed like there was some older stuff that I didn't see on there. But...
Just the TikTok videos of me dancing. I pulled those down because I think it was kind of inappropriate. But no, everything's still on there. Infinity Pool is on Amazon. Master Freak Theater, the whole series, 10 episodes is on Amazon. Counterclockwise in Foreverland is on Amazon, and I think is there one more thing, but when I got a phone call from Deacon Burns.
Oh, Revengeance, right?
Revengeance, yes, that little film. That's terrible.
Small little film.
Sorry, little indie film.
Yeah.
But
Indie Academy Award.
Yeah, but it's all like they just Amazon has the right to just go and just say we don't want to give it on Prime for free anymore. It's now people have to pay to watch it, which on one hand you could think, well, that's great, there'll be money coming in, but on the other hand, it's like I think that cuts your audience down like hugely, and I want more people to we got the numbers, our Amazon numbers, and especially for Foreverland, the numbers were insane. The amount of views that we were getting on the cartoons on Amazon were insane. Awesome. Like more than you add up everything if you took everything I've ever put on YouTube and combined the views, it got more views than that. It was like it got so many views, and then they put it for rent, and so it's like crazy. It's like it's not they cut the views down. So I don't know. Maybe I'm so used to not making really good money on doing this that maybe I'm like adverse to it now. I'm like, what? No money.
You're like, I don't want to get paid for this.
I don't want to get paid. I just want people to see it for free.
But I can understand that too, because it's like, like when I'm working on comics, like the paycheck is usually a secondary thought, as opposed to like the distribution in the market and the readers. Like that's more important to me than like the pay, although the pay would be nice.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of a secondary thought. So I can understand that, because it's like, especially when it's these things that are like, you feel pretty strongly they're good products.
I mean, I've made some money doing this.
Yeah.
I have, and you guys make money doing your stuff, but it's not. I mean, really, ultimately, it's not about that. Because if it was, we probably would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah, we'd all be like having you'd be watching us on a YouTube video talking about divorce law.
Yeah. Or we'd start our KISS podcast with Scott, me and Scott.
I extrapolated out recently. If I was doing animation full time based on what I charged, I would be like thousands of dollars below the poverty line.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because you work on stuff you mean if you broke down your hourly rate, what it comes out to?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So for example, in the time that you made a 24-minute animation, I made a 4-minute animation, and mine didn't even have any lip sync. So it's just I looked at
awards, buddy. Okay.
Yes, I did. You haven't even you'd win. You just gotta throw them in the festivals.
Yeah, I know. I went through that trying to get stuff. It's like I'm not the best at taking rejection,
Oh
they would just like reject everything. Like I didn't get something, not this, but in the past.
You know what's interesting is I don't even feel imposter syndrome super, super bad in most situations, but rejections from festivals don't even faze me. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like for some reason it's just like, whatever. That's just part of it.
Yeah.
But
well, you're doing really well, man. Congratulations too. It's amazing. It's inspiring. It kind of does make me want to put stuff in.
So Josh asked, here's the answer to Josh's question. So that's where B- is sitting at right now, is about a 79% acceptance rate, compared to Put Your Heart Into It when it was done, got down to 23%. That's 79%.
I didn't know there was something that calculated all that for you. I thought that was just because. So do Do you distribute it all to the same place, or how does that calculate?
Yeah, I do it through Film Freeway.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was using too.
Yeah, it's a website that basically, like, every festival out there, you submit through this one. So you create the profile of your film, and then you just say, I want to submit to this one and this one and this one and this one, and then you can it just goes out there, and so it kind of like standardized the submission process.
Sorry, this just seemed funny to me relating to the Glenn Danzig thing. He bumped into Glenn Danzig a couple years ago and said he's a little dude. And I actually had that experience with ironically, like, Henry Rollins at a Comic-Con a couple years back, where it's like I was at Comic-Con, I bumped into somebody, my friend kind of was like, dude, that was just, you just like literally physically bumped into Henry Rollins. And I look behind me and it's this, sure enough, it's Henry Rollins. He's huge, but he's really, like, way shorter than I imagined, you know?
Can I tell my Arnold Schwarzenegger story?
Oh, tell it.
Okay. So through my sister-in-law, we went to the opening of the first Planet Hollywood in Costa Mesa. And it was like a cornucopia of celebrities, like those cartoons from the 30s that have all the celebrities walking around. Mm-hmm. And at one point, we're upstairs and I was walking to this crowded bar, and it was crowded. And I see Arnold Schwarzenegger coming right towards me. By the way, I'm exactly as tall as Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he's walking right towards me, and then this waitress walks in between us, and she drops the drinks, and they break. And he looks down, and I look down, and then I looked up, and I swear to God, I said this. The drinks break. And he looks up, and I look up, and I go, bad for business. And I did that just so I could tell my brother. You know what I told Arnold Schwarzenegger? Because it was supposed to be one of these, bad for business. You know, like one of those. It was during the height of his catchphrases, and I was kind of hoping he would use that. But I told him, and he didn't laugh. He was nice. He seemed like a nice person. Yeah, he seemed like a really nice person. Like, I didn't get a cold shoulder or nothing, but he didn't laugh because it was probably bad for business. I should have had that sound effect.
That would have done it. It would have been a sound effect.
One of your animations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's gonna be it.
It is true. If Arnold won't do it, you can always make him do it.
Make him do it. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we're at an hour and 30 minutes.
Almost as long as Pleasure Beast. Wow.
I know, that's craziness. Almost like the unedited Pleasure Beast that you're releasing next week. So where can everybody check out Pleasure Beast? And obviously, when is that premiering? Because you guys saw the trailer here exclusively so far.
By the time most of you people will watch this, we'll all be dead. No, by the time most of you people watch this, Pleasure Beast will be out, and it will be out. You can go to jimlujan.com, which is my YouTube channel. Subscribe there and click the like, and hit the bell, smash that bell, and you can watch that.
Sorry, that'll make more sense in a second.
Oh yes, there's a character in this film.
I've got to say that was vindicating that character existed.
Really,
so accurate.
Oh, yeah. So you can say, go ahead. You can say what the character is. It's not a spoiler.
It is. There is a YouTube celebrity that, like, all the teenagers are super into, and as somebody who, like, is on YouTube and, like, has been doing this for years and stuff, I hate the stupidity of, like, what is popular, like the stuff that people, like, all this dumb TikTok crap where people are just like, let me answer some questions while I do a hand jive. It's like, it's the dumbest piece of, anyway. So this guy's shtick is that he pees himself, and
his name is Pee Pee Pants.
And every time he's announced, you hear this pretty pee pants.
Yeah,
like, it's amazing. Again, like, the great thing about Jim's cartoons is, like, you could probably, like, we could probably run through the entire thing, which we're not going to do, but we could probably run through the whole thing from front to back, and still it's the soundtrack, the ambience, like the little edits, that little effect, like that announcement every time that makes them so unique. But anyhow,
So yeah, so if PP Pants doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. But you can go to my YouTube page, check it out, and leave me a comment. Tell me how much you love it and how much you want to live your life like PP Pants. So
I love it, and I do think that like, were you to have endless resources, that would be the perfect marketing, is start a YouTube channel of a guy named PP Pants promoting
Stranger Things.
Okay, I'm gonna dare you, Jim. I want to dare you to actually pee your pants on camera.
That's so tempting.
As your intro to something. Because there's a shot in the little montage where it's just right there. Anyway, it is so accurate to like Gen Y or whoever's in high school right now or college or whatever, what they like. It's just like the dumbest garbage.
Wouldn't that be great if that became viral? PP Pants, if that was the thing that put me over the edge.
Right.
Hashtag PP Pants.
You spend decades like painstakingly making all of these cartoons, and what you go famous for is peeing yourself on camera. Yeah, that'd be great.
I could see that. I mean, I mean, there is the Gallagher fallacy we all need to worry about especially when you're dipping into humor, where it's like, you never know what the shtick will be. Hopefully.
Wouldn't it be funny if the camera panned over and the whole time you're looking over, it actually was Gallagher there?
And he smashes a watermelon and he just hits Josh right in the face.
And he's peeing his pants. And with that.
Yes, I think I need to go.
But hey, last thing I'll say, thank you guys. Thank you, Artcasters. Well, you guys have been very supportive all the time.
You already did on the video, on the movie.
I know. You're legally bound to that film now. But really, thank you guys. You guys have. I know I'm not the only one that is inspired by watching you guys. So thank you for that. And in real life, you guys are jerks. But
yeah, for sure.
On film, you guys are great.
For show.
For show.
Like the second we hit stop recording, all we do is just mad crap talk, and we're actually conspiracy theorists behind
and their voice, it's weird because their voices all drop several octaves.
Yeah. We put on like dark hoods and start doing our evil occult practices.
Which reminds me, we've got that meeting in the woods next week, right?
That's true. Do you have the virgin sacrifice? I hope so.
It is so hard to find those nowadays.
I know. I guess maybe we'll just like substitute.
I invited Jim though, so we should be fine.
Yeah.
You just made me think of What We Do in the Shadows. Do you guys watch
that?
I think their versions. It's so funny.
I'm kind of exhausted by LARPing group.
I love it. I really appreciate you coming on, Jim. I have to say, one of the highlights of this year has been just being in a Jim Lujan cartoon. I've been a fan of your work before we became friends, and so it's super flattering and awesome to be a part of that. And also to just be a part of that with somebody like Charlie Rossman, who's just like doing this crazy, amazing vocal performance or whatever. It was a super fun experience, and it's surreal and fun, and makes me very happy to have been able to contribute to the Lujan-iverse. So,
well, it's my pleasure.
Beast.
Wink.
I love it. And by the way, just the way Rossman says, "You're a pleasure, Beast." It's like it is the best. Yeah, it's great.
It's
you guys, I can't sell it enough to people who are watching. So go check that out. Jim, thank you for being our guest and for putting out such awesome cartoons and just always keeping them consistently good. All right, Scott, where can everybody check out your stuff? And you go last because you have to mention the sign out and stuff. So Cory, where can everybody check out your animations and great work?
So I'm on YouTube and Instagram, and you can find all that stuff at CoryKerr.com. So if you click on animations, it'll show you a big page full of those. If you click on videos, it'll show you a bunch of playlists. Click on what's new, it'll show you kind of the newest stuff. So you can go watch that. You can go watch either of those longer animations, the music video, Be Mine, or Put Your Heart Into It. Those are all on the site for free for your viewing pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, and then Scott, and I do want to mention, Scott, you and Jim should do. I don't know if this will be Artcasters, but at some point we should do a stream where you guys explain to Cory and I what the big kiss thing is, because I kind of get it, but I feel like if you guys walked through your experience with Kiss, it might kind of like get me more on board.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can get Kevin Cross on too, because I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kevin's way into Kiss too, so it's like I think same generation, so it's like I want to bridge.
I don't know if this ruins it for anybody, but my two favorite Kiss songs are "Fat Bottom Girls" and "I Like to Ride My Bicycle."
Oh, yes, good job. Well, welcome to Kisscasters.
All right, there we go.
All right, so let's see.
Scott?
You're on my channel. You guys know where to find me, all that fun stuff. And if you haven't yet, go pick up 2 stories. My graphic novel about faith and mental illness. It's on sale for like $5 on Amazon, which is a steal. And make sure you're, following me on social media and all that fun stuff, because I'm gonna have a pretty cool announcement, hopefully in like a week or so, or maybe a month. Who knows? But hopefully soon. That's a pretty big deal for spring that I'll be able to announce before spring. So make sure you're following me for that. Scott, where can everybody find information about comics and how to do comics? And if they're, hitting like brick walls and need some shortcuts and tricks, like where can they find like the most substantive stuff on comics?
All right. So you can find that at my YouTube channel, Serkworks on YouTube. And there is a series there called Making Comics 101 that is basically step-by-step process, each one a separate thing, where it's like first one just coming up with ideas, and then it'll be plotting and penciling and inking. Each kind of discipline has its own video, and then there's actual bonus videos and there's deep dive videos and all that stuff, and that's on my YouTube channel. Definitely check it out. As far as tips and things like that, I actually do next week. I've got a new inking art hack video coming up in time for Inktober and everything, so definitely go there, subscribe, and check that out. Or if you want to see that early, you can join me on Patreon. I think just search Serkworks on Patreon, and I usually put videos out early for that. And then this show, Artcasters, we do this show every week. It's either on Josh's channel or my own channel, and it kind of bounces back and forth. And it's usually on Thursday nights, but it can be on a different time or whatever. But if you want to know when it's going to be, who the guest is going to be, what the topic's going to be, join our mailing list, because YouTube doesn't always notify people. So if you join our mailing list, there's a link in the description of this video. Just click on that. We don't spam you or anything like that. We just send out, usually try it out 30 minutes before we go live. We try to send out just that newsletter, and they'll have a link where you can click on and you can join us, and hopefully join us live like the people in the chat, which unfortunately I'm on my iPad and I'm not going through the usual channel, so I can't see the chat today. But I do want to thank everyone for being on the chat and everything. So thanks everyone. It's always great when people are live interacting and everything. So yeah.
I love it. It's been a super active chat, and I was gonna ask Cory, would you mind kind of pulling up that trailer to close it out with, just as
let's watch one more time.
Yeah, I feel like just give people a taste of that, and then we'll call it. But
all right.
Is that okay to play again?
All right. Give me a second, and it'll be ready, and just riff for like 10 seconds, then I'll get it.
I'm the king of the nighttime world, and you're my headlight queen. That's from Kiss.
Does it say headlight queen?
Does it say that? I don't know. Maybe
I thought it said nighttime queen, but I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
No, that could be wrong.
That's what. Save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
Mom, I saw this really cool dress at Hot Miss for Bridge Harvest.
Hot Miss? Do you know what kind of girls shop at Hot Miss?
You guys are not taking Bridge Harvest seriously enough.
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I am a man of wealth and taste. My name is Lee Diablo. I hereby offer my estate, Vesuvius, for your wonderful Bridge Harvest.
Stay away from Bridge Harvest, Kathy. You and your family.
Peter, I have a secret.
Help! There's a crazy person on the loose! it's time to unleash the freak. Now can you feel my feet? Can I be your pleasure? Oh, it's time to unleash the freak. Now can you feel my feet?
The pleasure cafe. Surely you remember the pleasure.
Stay away from me and my family.
Oh, it's time to unleash the freak. Oh, it's time to unleash the freak.
Oh.